Hey, it's Peter Reed Miller from On Sports Photography with Peter Reed Miller. Today I'm going to talk a little bit more about the EOS 1dx Mark III. I would highly recommend anyone who's interested in this camera to read the white paper from Canon that's on the internet. I had a little trouble finding it, but there is a link on the Canon rumor site that you can go to. This tells you everything about the camera. I would read it twice, actually. I've read it about 5 times now. But so, just to review, what's new about this camera? It's got, it's got a new sensor, not bigger file size, but a better sensor. It's got better noise, in other words, maybe a full stop. So if you're at 6400, it's going to look like 3200. It goes up to 16 frames a second with the viewfinder, 20 in live view, so it's faster. It's got faster processors, all that stuff you'll read in the white paper about the digits, 8s and 10s and everything. It's really devoted. Everything in this camera is devoted towards faster autofocusing, more accurate autofocusing, better files. It does use a new kind of card, the CF Express card. Now, people are going to say, well, that's sort of a bummer because there's no option but the CF Express. But I will tell you, when you use these cards, your buffer is not 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever, and I'm talking about with raw files. Your buffer is 1,000 files, 1,000 files with these cards. That's worth it alone. You will need cards, you will need a reader. SanDisk has one coming out. SanDisk is currently making the cards. A little bit of a over demand right now, but they'll be available. So you've got this camera, you've got another file format if you want to try it, the HEF, which is 10 bits per channel, so it gets a higher dynamic range. It has some clarity adjustments. It does operate, the back screen does operate as a touch screen. I personally turn that off because I find it distracting, but if you get used to it. And we have this great little button right here that allows you to move your focusing spots around simply, not even by flapping it like a joystick, but pushing it in different areas. So once you get used to that, I think that's going to be a great thing. I know a lot of people were looking forward to that. I'm not a pixel peeper. I judge a camera in the manner that I use it. And one thing I can count in this camera is, I think we're going to run out of tape if I keep going with this. Touchscreen, illuminated buttons. Oh, uses the same battery. That's nice, so we don't have to buy new batteries, and gets twice the life out of it. Double the life out of the same battery, so that's great. So again, I recommend the white paper highly, but let's get to some pictures. Let's go to some pictures here. I'm going to bring this up, bring it up all the way. Okay, this is Nick Bosa. This is in warm-ups, and this is just a little sequence of him just doing a little wind sprint here, and that's a kind of a thing where he's running at an angle, and a lot of times your autofocus might just lose him somewhere along the way. But here, aside from me cutting off his feet, every frame is tack sharp all the way through, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Oh, he goes by somebody. Look at this. He's going right by somebody, and yet the camera is still on him. And boom, he goes by. There we go. Here's Jimmy Garoppolo warming up. Again, he's got his hand in front of his face. He's got a face guard, but the face detect goes right in there and finds his face. This camera features face detect. Now, what if the face is covered by a face mask or something? Then it features a head detect. So it's going to look for a head even if it's in a helmet. This is great for football, especially when guys like Marshawn Lynch wear those full masks. This will still find the head. Now, there is eye detect, but the eye detect only works in live view. There's a lot of features on this camera that work in live view, which personally I think is basically a precursor for a pro mirrorless camera from Canon, but you didn't hear it from me. So there's Jimmy again, finding the face. Again, sequences, Emmanuel Samuels making a catch, busting through a bunch of people, going down. I mean, this is not a tremendous bunch of pictures, but it's a tremendous feat of tracking him all the way down, 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 keeps running, gets away, stumbles, boom, he's down. Sharp all the way. Again, different move, not just a guy running at you, but a guy moving, running sideways, up, down, lots of different movement. It's stuck with it. This is really, you know, I've gone through every generation of Canon camera since the EOS, the very film EOS, and I've seen the autofocus improve a bit by bit. This is a big improvement. This is really a big improvement here. This is a game changer because you're not even using your traditional, your square spot or your 4 spots or your 9 spots. You're using zones, using big zones, and the camera, based on its knowledge base that it's got in here somewhere, I don't know how it fits, is deciding what is the most important thing and focusing on that. And you know what? It's usually right. So we go on and on with him. Again, across the field, this is nothing remarkably, but this is a touchdown from across the field. And then here we have Aaron Rodgers on a rollout. You know, again, not that much of a challenge, but it's nice to know that it just solidly tracks every frame. You know, here he is. Again, now he's getting run down. A couple of the Niner defensive linemen are going to take him down. Yeah, Aaron, there you go. Yeah, there you go, taking him down. Again, this is, again, a sort of a tricky motion. It's not like just running at you or away. Well, here's Jimmy Garoppolo throwing one of his 8 passes. The guy threw 8 passes and they won the game, and rolling out. Here's a little jube after he went for a first down. 49er running back. Again, you know, a nice sequence. I'm having a little trouble framing him, but in terms of focus, there's no issue. Same thing here. Here's a tackle on, I think they're tackling Devontae Adams, but you know, just pulling it in. Oh, okay, and this is a nice one. This is Lazard, the tight end. He gets hit, he gets stood up totally, and then flipped over, you know. I think this camera is really making a difference. You know, again, this is their tight end. He's rolling out, and again, notice that it does not jump. You have control over that. You have, instead of the 6 cases that the old camera had, it's got 4 cases, 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are the same. Now 5 and 6, nobody ever could tell me what they did. So they eliminated them, and they went with a case of automatic, in which case the camera decides what case would be appropriate for the motion. Interesting concept. I think it works pretty well. But here again, you see he's not being fooled by somebody crossing in front of the frame. And again, I have not photoshopped these. I haven't had a chance to do anything. So, you know, again, just a big long sequence. This is a pretty straightforward one. But now he cuts over, he cuts through some people. You still got him, 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 still got him. Boom. He goes down. But yeah, and here's Garoppolo. I love this quarterback jube. I'm really trying, you know, I spent 40 years at Sports Illustrated, 35 years at Sports Illustrated. The whole deal there was to get the touchdown. In my new life as an AP images photographer, the touchdown doesn't always matter. AP has deadline people who get the touchdowns. But what matters is stuff like this, is this great jube. This is a Jimmy Garoppolo. Look at this. He's like a little kid, and you know, he jumps. I mean, he's not coming right at me, unfortunately, but it's great. It's really nice to get on this and stay on this jube. And again, he's moving around that lateral motion, which used to fool autofocus a lot. But here you've got him coming through. So, you know, really good stuff here, and I think a significant improvement in the autofocus, along with a lot of features. I mean, I've only had this camera 2 weeks, so I tend to, when I get a new camera, I tend to set it as much like my old one as possible, and then slowly delve into the newer features. So I expect, I'm only sad it's the end of the season, but maybe I'll shoot some XFL, because I really know that there's more and more and more to be done with this camera, that it's very advanced. It's not just incremental, it's a big advance over the previous camera, and I really want to get to know all the features. You know, and I would expect that, you know, that white paper is a big help if you go through that. but you know, just getting out and shooting with it, you know. But again, jube, lots of jube here, staying with Jimmy. So you can, there's a setting for point shifting, which you can either disable. Oh, also you can set it for people or not for people. Set it for people, it's going to obviously look for people. Set it for not people, it will look for whatever is in the frame, for example, a car. But then on that, you have a series of 3. I don't know, can we show the menus here? I think we'll be able to show the menus. Is that readable there? I'll get the strap out of the way. Okay, so you've got your, no, not readable, maybe. Subject tracking selection. Okay, boom. You can go, all right, let's go up 1. People. You can either disable or enable. If you enable it, now you have subject switching. Now you can enable that. You can enable it slowly, which is probably the best way, or you can disable it, in which case it sticks on whatever it is that you are focused on. It really sticks. But I think the slow, enabling the slow is pretty much the best way to do it. Let's see what else we got here. We got more Happy Jimmy. I love Happy Jimmy. Okay, enough of this. Come on. But you can see, even though he's facing away, unfortunately, you've got some of this stuff. There we go. That's almost a nice one. Okay, here's you know, again, downfield. I mean, obviously this could definitely stand to be cropped, but when we zoom in, and that's a 3x zoom, we see that it's pretty darn sharp, even at ISO 2500. Let's lower the zoom a little bit. And this is pass defense, breaking up one of those long passes. Okay, here's Nick Bosa again, coming in. Let's unzoom it. Coming in and pushing and coming around, and then going past the ref and staying in. Yeah. Again, here's a catch on the sidelines. You zoom that. Let's zoom it a little bit more. A lot of sharp. Oops, sorry. Unzoom it. A lot of sharpness here. And again, this is 25. This is 3200 ISO. Very sharp. I'd have no problem cropping in on this and making it, you know, pretty much full frame. You know, this is tremendous in this way. Okay, George Kittle makes a catch, and again, around he comes, around he comes, around he comes. And any of these pictures, again, would be perfectly fine to go, you know, fill a frame with this. But so it's sharp, it's sharper, it's better at high ISO, and it's got great tracking autofocus. Okay, let's get that out of there. So, you know, yes, oh, there's his little that he does. You know, I really think that, as I said, this is a significant improvement over the last model, the EOS 1dx Mark II. I know it's a big step. I know switching to cards is a big step, but you know, I think that it's really, you know, if you want to have the best camera for sports photography, I think this is totally it. I think far and away. Let's see, this is going back to the Baltimore game. A couple of things here. Is this, okay. This is, where's Ryan Tannehill diving? Okay, well, yeah, here's this whole series of Tannehill dives for a touchdown. I left out the ones of him actually diving. But again, a lot of jube, and it stays with him. Oh, here we go. There we go. Oh. Here's one with their running back, Henry. And I like this because, again, here's the picture right here. He's straight arming this guy. So you see there's a lot of things in this frame that the camera could focus on, but it does a pretty good job of picking out his face out of all that. Not the hand, not the shoulder, not the other hand, but his face, the eye. If you look at that eye, it's sharp. The one thing this camera does not have is animal eye detection. Sorry to say, but hopefully they'll bring that along. So this is a great camera body, the best, but it's only a camera. It doesn't, all right, start that again. Okay. So this is a great camera body. I think one of the best ever, or the best ever. But for that to really work, you need lenses, and Canon makes a great selection of lenses, and this camera brings out the best in those lenses. I mean, my 400-2.8 is the same 400-2.8 I shot with 2 weeks ago, but suddenly I'm getting more pictures in focus and in trickier situations because this camera can bring out the best of the lenses. And I think that's really important to remember. Canon makes some great sports lenses, the 400-2.8, 600-4, 2-400 zoom. Oh, you know, another thing I did with this camera, I used a lot with the extender, and I have not used the extender as much anymore. And the extender usually cuts your autofocus speed maybe by a quarter or a third. I didn't notice it with this camera. It was fine. It was great. So a lot of the stuff you see, both for sharpness and for in focus, is shot with the 1.4 extender. So again, another thing, this camera makes everything in the system better, basically. It uplifts every other part of the Canon lens and accessory system. So now I have activated this little button. It's an AF on button if you just push it straight in. But if you push it to one side or the other, it's hard to explain how it feels, but it actually optically sees where your finger is, and that will allow you to move your autofocus spots around on the screen. So that if you're shooting boxing, for one, where you want to, suddenly you want to focus over there, then you want to focus over there. There's some other sports like that. I don't know, sometimes when you're shooting a pitcher and his wind-up, you want to move the focus back to his face, not in the middle. There's a lot of places where this comes in really handy, and it's much more ergonomically satisfying than the little joystick kind of things. So this is just slide, 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 slide. Very nice feature. Touchscreen, again, very nice feature. And again, as I said, many of these features work only with the live view. And I think this will be, again, something we're going to see on the next Pro mirrorless body that Canon will hopefully be bringing out soon. But all in all, again, best camera for sports, best autofocusing camera I've ever used, and I've used a lot of them. I want to thank my friends at GF Crew for making this video possible. If you want to make money shooting action sports, check out GF Crew. Go to gfcrew.com to join. It's free. They have a whole process and an app set up to help you make money shooting sports. Check it out. Get started today.